Eric, thanks. So this week, Amtrak announced that its plans to either add on or improve its existing rail line, and the map they released as part of this 2035 vision includes a new passenger rail line up and down the Front Range, connecting Cheyenne, Wyoming to Pueblo. News 5's Andy Cohen live from downtown Springs. Closer look at what it would take to make this transportation alternative a reality. Andy?
Rob, it'll take a lot of people saying yes. First of all, Congress would have to pass the president's infrastructure bill, but then also our state legislature. They'd probably have to pass a bill that would allow Front Range communities to decide whether they wanted to join in a rail special district. And then, of course, the voters in those communities would also have to say yes to joining the district, but also likely raising taxes on themselves as well. Currently, the only places southern Colorado travelers can catch an Amtrak train are at Denver's Union Station or in La Junta and Trinidad. But the federally owned railroad company announced plans this week to expand passenger rail service up and down the I-25 corridor from Pueblo to Cheyenne.
We know that 85% of the growth in Colorado is occurring along the Front Range, and it will not be, that I-25 will not be enough to provide reliable and safe and sustainable transportation along our Front Range into the near future or long distance future.
Jill Gabler represents Colorado Springs on the state's Southwest Chief and Front Range Passenger Rail Commission. She said this is a hopeful development.
It was very exciting to see this new map of a potential line for the Front Range passenger rail, along with a lot of other expanded service throughout the United States.
State lawmakers were preparing to pass a bill last year asking voters in Front Range communities to set up a special railroad district, but the bill was shelved when the pandemic hit.
We are all hopeful that a similar bill will come forward in this session.
The president's infrastructure bill in Congress currently budgets $80 billion for rail projects nationwide, but Gabler expects it will ultimately take a mix of federal, state, and local money to make such a project a reality here.
The idea that we would have a partner in Amtrak and they would contribute funding, the state would contribute funding, and maybe taxpayers would contribute some funding makes it a lot more equitable.
And one of the things that was disappointing with this announcement for folks in the commission was when you look at the map, there is not a spur connecting Pueblo to the Southwest Chief line. You might remember not only Pueblo, but many southern Colorado communities pitched in to help repair that rail line. We'll have to see what happens in the weeks that come. Always watching out for you, southern Colorado. Andy Cohen, News 5.